Coming up on FSU Headlines, Florida State University bids a fond farewell to the class of 2017. World-renowned faculty teach the next generation of scientists before they finish high school. And the Seminoles are back in action as fall sports get ready to kick off their seasons. Stay tuned for these stories and much, much more. FSU Headlines starts now. Hello and welcome to another edition of FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker. Well, it's August, and that means a couple of things. First and foremost, it's hot outside. And secondly, it's time for another class of Florida State Seminoles to make their way out into the world as graduates of this wonderful university. Take a look at the class of 2017.
It's exciting, there's a sense, it's bittersweet, there's a sense of relief, no more long nights, no more essays, tests.
I don't know how to explain it. I'm just really happy that finally this day came true.
We're assembled this morning to pay tribute to our graduates who have worked hard to earn their degrees and who will today clearly embark on a new journey. On behalf of the university and this assembly, we want to congratulate you and wish you every success.
It's flown by, and I did my degree in 3.5 years, and I feel like I was just here yesterday. I feel like I was just moving in. I feel like I was just a freshman. And everyone tells you, it goes by so fast, so, live every moment. And it's true, it really flies by. I mean, I can't believe that I'm already here.
Feels like it's a dream come true. That's the only words that I can really say. It's a dream come true.
Now I have the distinct pleasure of introducing your commencement speaker, the legendary Coach Mike Martin.
Florida State's a huge part of my life and a huge part of the community that I call home. Florida State was good to me and good for me. I hope you have had and will have a similar experience. Think about what you've learned, the lifelong friends you've made, and the lasting memories.
And now, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Florida Board of Governors and the Florida State University Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the appropriate degree for which you have qualified. You may now change your tassels from right to left.
Reynold Louis Bartel, Tatiana Patrice Marie Brandon, Marcella Castiano, Joseph Allen Gibson, Alexander Dimitri Yurko.
It's been an honor, one of the highest honors I've ever received, and a privilege to speak to you on your special day at my beloved alma mater, Florida State University.
And of the more than 2,500 summer graduates, 1,600 participated in August commencement exercises. Well, you've seen the outgoing class. Now let's talk about the incoming students of Florida State University. It's one of FSU's best freshman classes ever. With an overall GPA of 4.1, this year's incoming freshmen are some of the brightest students in the university's history. Florida State University's incoming class of 2021 represents every county in Florida, all 50 states, and even 140 different countries. These freshmen were selected among a record 42,000 applicants. That's a 16% jump over last year and a great reflection of the demand for an FSU education.
We're really on a great roll. Our students get better every year. Our faculty are doing wonderful things to prepare them for their careers moving forward or for graduate programs. And I think our reputation has grown tremendously just in the last few years.
Before graduation, a select group of those graduating seniors earned a special recognition. It's an honor unique to Florida State University. We call it the Garnet and Gold Scholars Society. And this honor ranks high on the list of achievements for the well-rounded Florida State student. Take a look.
Today we induct 34 scholars into the Garnet and Gold Scholars Society.
So I'm being inducted into the Garnet and Gold Scholars Society.
This morning was my induction ceremony.
The Garnet and Gold Scholars Society is an academic scholar society here at Florida State.
We have 5 different areas of engagement, including leadership, internship, service, international, and research.
So I chose research, international, and internship.
I chose to do community service, leadership, and internship.
And our students participate in 3 of those 5 activities, reflect on their experiences, and then they get inducted as they did today.
Nick Davenport. After graduating, Nick will be returning to FSU to begin the accelerated nursing program.
First thought you would think none of those had anything in common, but then through this society it kind of put a perfect bow on my experiences and like a final acknowledgement for the diverse things that I accomplished in my time here. And that's why I think it was such a good fit for me.
I just felt like I wanted to do something. I wanted to leave my legacy here at Florida State. I wanted to impact Florida State's community. I wanted to impact Tallahassee's community. I wanted to do something that would help me prepare me for my future. And I just thought that leadership, internship, and community service would definitely help me with that. It will distinguish me from my other classmates and prepare me for my future.
I think it felt really great to be a Florida Stater at that moment. I felt pride in my university, and I felt proud of myself for accomplishing good things here, because I think that was the initial feeling I got freshman year that pushed me to choose this school, was that I felt like I could be successful. And to share a very successful experience in front of my family and with President Thrasher, I think is an indescribable feeling that anyone would want.
I am humbled every day in this role. Getting to learn what these students do, I'm so amazed at what about the great things they're doing and just how amazing they are. And every day I'm like, whoa, these students are amazing.
This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It was one of the best things I've ever experienced at Florida State. I wouldn't take it back for the world. I feel prepared for my future. I know that when I go to interviews, I have more to talk about, and I just feel great.
The Society recognizes the engaged, well-rounded student who excels within and beyond the classroom in the areas of leadership, internship, service, international study, and research. Well, still to come on FSU Headlines, Florida State University helps high school students succeed in college courses.
They are the future, and we have to inspire them about science, because science is the future.
We'll show you how the Young Scholars program at Florida State is shaping the next generation of scientists when FSU Headlines continues in a moment.
Florida State gives you the opportunity to do anything you want to do.
I am so grateful to be able to work with some of the best professors in the world.
I will always be a Seminole. This is home.
Florida State made me feel special, and that's the most I could have asked for from a university.
Honestly, I wouldn't be the person I am today, and I wouldn't be the student I am today without Florida State.
When you buy a Florida State University license plate,
you're not just showing your school spirit.
You're supporting students like us.
In the lab,
in the classroom,
and in the library.
Putting this tag on your vehicle helps Florida State students achieve their dreams. So show your pride. Purchase an FSU license plate today.
Welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker. The STEM fields, also known as science, technology, engineering, and math, are in high demand these days. And teaching the next generation of young minds these disciplines is at the forefront of education in our state. With that in mind, Florida State University created the Young Scholars program to prepare high-achieving students in Florida for top jobs one day. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn has more.
This group of high-achieving high school students got the rare chance to spend part of their summer on Florida State University's campus, getting a head start on possible careers in STEM.
It's been incredible so far to have this much research opportunities, especially with Dr. Riley, the stuff that he's showing us and teaching us. It's incredible to know that we know this much about something so small and how much that impacts something so large like the cosmos. It's incredible.
The university is helping these students through their Young Scholars program, which brings in select students from high schools to learn and study under the direction of some of FSU's outstanding faculty. Faculty like renowned physicist, Professor Mark Riley.
It's so important for them to set off on a good path, and this program has given them a little bit of insight into the world of science.
These high schoolers are doing research before they even start college. The program brings in the select students from around Florida to see what it's like to study at a major research institution.
Specifically because I've never done hands-on research, and it's something that I thought about doing in college, but I wanted to kind of see what it was before I got all the way in it. And it was a really cool experience. I guess it's a different feeling from high school labs where you already know the answer and you're just trying to replicate an experiment that's been done thousands of times. Here you come and you work on a project that's trying to discover something new and trying to add to kind of the base of scientific knowledge that already exists. And that's really interesting.
It's also a showcase of what Florida State University has to offer inside and outside the classroom. And it's been eye-opening.
They toured the magnet lab last week. I gave them a tour of our nuclear accelerator last week, and they are just seeing how exciting the world of science is and what goes on at a big research university like FSU.
For the professors, the Young Scholars program has reaffirmed the need to challenge students because, as Professor Mark Riley explains, this is the next generation of scientists.
I mean, it's a great opportunity for the students, see what university life is all about and encourage them to go on to further education, which is good for everybody. And they are the future. And we have to inspire them about science, because science is the future. Oh, they're brilliant. They really are. I mean, these are the best and brightest. These are the people that are going to change the world. And it's so important that, they go and optimize their potential and, go and make a difference.
For FSU Headlines, I'm Mark Vaughn.
In our next headline, Florida State's and Florida A&M's Colleges of Education partner to help students avoid summer reading loss. And this isn't your typical summer camp either. Take a look.
With Florida State and FAMU's College of Education, we formed Freedom School. Our program is a 6-week program, and we offer a literacy-rich program to our families at no cost.
Hold up, wait a minute, let me put some freedom in it. Ooh, I love my freedom school. Say what?
We promote literacy. We promote early literacy, and we promote continued literacy. So at the end of every week, our scholars get to take home books, and they're taking home culturally relevant books. And you'll be able to see around the classroom some of the books that they are able to take home, and they start their libraries. Some of our students have been here this is their 2nd year, so they've started their libraries last year. And we encourage our parents to read with our scholars, because if they're reading at home, they're going to love reading in the classroom, outside of the classroom, on their leisure time. So that's pretty much the premise of our Freedom School.
1 cupcake, yeah, and 1 slice of watermelon. We know that there's a loss in reading skill over the summer, so the fact that kids are motivated enough to come and spend their time doing that, yeah, it means a lot. He stayed inside for more than 2 weeks, and then he nibbled a hole in the cocoon, pushed his way out. It's just, it was really heartwarming to see that, because I know growing up, I was one of those kids in the summertime who kind of disappeared with a book. So it was really fun to be here with a whole group of them, excited about what they're reading.
Sister Lavinia was frying slabs of salt pork, and Sarah had to start the cornbread batter for breakfast.
We want them to know that they can pick up a book, any type of book, and they can read it all day long. They can read it to their siblings. We want our babies to leave here and not suffer with the summer reading loss. Because, of course, if they're not in school, if they're not exercising their brains, then, you will have that loss. And our goal is to make sure that does not happen.
Freedom Schools is a nonprofit organization co-sponsored by Florida State University and Florida A&M University. The program has been selected by the Children's Defense Fund to operate 2 summer programs with the goal of providing children in the Tallahassee and Gadsden County communities opportunities to participate in quality summer enrichment programs. An unstable childhood can lead to overeating and obesity, according to new research by a Florida State University professor. People who experience unpredictable childhoods touched by issues like divorce, crime, or frequent moves face a higher risk of becoming obese as adults. That's according to a new study by Florida State University professor of psychology, John Maynor. In his study, Maynor found that people who had an unpredictable childhood tended to overeat, while those who experienced a more stable childhood did not.
Yeah, I gotcha. Humans, like other organisms, when they experience this level of unpredictability as a child, they learn that the future is hard to predict, so you better get what you can now. And so a fast life history strategy is really all about using up the resources you have now, because it's really tough to know what you're going to have a year from now or even a month from now. What we find is that kids who experienced unpredictable life events early in their childhood, they were more inclined than those who had a predictable childhood to adopt this fast life history strategy, and in turn to eat even when they're not hungry. So most people tend to eat when their body tells them that they're hungry. But if you experienced an environment in childhood that says, well, it's very difficult to predict what's going to happen next week or even tomorrow, well, you better eat what you have while you can, is the mindset. And indeed, what we find is that people who experienced an unpredictable childhood, they tend to overeat, they tend to eat even when they're not hungry, and this leads to obesity.
Maynor's research was published in the Journal of Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. From wind to the sun, renewable energy sources have become a high-demand area of exploration and development. And now a Florida State University chemist and his team may have dramatically increased solar cell efficiency, which could have a big impact on solar panel technology of the future. We took a trip to Professor Ken Hansen's lab to see what he's working on. Take a look.
I'm Ken Hansen. I'm a teacher and researcher in the Department of Chemistry at Florida State University. So my research group is primarily interested in molecular photophysics. It's basically the absorption and emission of light by molecules. And in particular, we're interested in applications like solar energy conversion, where you can use that sunlight to generate electricity and do useful work. So when speaking about solar cells in terms of the economics of solar cells, it's not enough to have an efficient solar cell. It's basically the efficiency per cost. And so what you want to do is generate a low-cost solar cell that's also very efficient. And so any trick you can play to increase the efficiency lowers the cost of those solar cells. The Shockley-Queisser limit, basically the rules of the universe and the amount of sunlight that hit the surface of the Earth, limits the efficiency of a standard solar cell to about 33%. And so there are tricks that you can play to get around that limit. And one of those tricks is molecular photon upconversion. Typically the upconversion process takes a lot of light, basically very high intensity light like lasers. And so what we've recently done is we figured out a way to incorporate multiple molecules that absorb broad band light, and those molecules can effectively cooperatively work to lower the intensity of light that's necessary. So we've shown that we can do this under sunlight. And so for example, typically to do an upconversion process, you'd use a laser or like a magnifying glass to intensify sun, but that's not very practical for commercial applications. And so the idea is get this upconversion process to be efficient under just sunlight. And so that's what we've demonstrated fairly recently, is that we can do it under ambient sunlight, just outside normal sunlight without any amplification or magnification. And so this upconversion strategy, if we can incorporate it into the current world record DSSCs or perovskite solar cells, could improve efficiencies by a factor of 1.1.
Professor Hansen is part of the Energy and Materials Strategic Initiative, which has a mission to produce high-tech materials for next-generation energy sustainable technology. A Florida State University researcher wants to know about your personality and how it may affect your health. Personality may offer significant clues about our health and may even predict how long we might live. But not much is known about how individual personality forms in the first place. FSU Assistant Professor of Medicine Angelina Sutton and her team will spend 5 years researching prenatal and childhood neighborhood risk factors to determine how they affect personality and what consequences that may have on healthy aging. The National Institutes of Health are funding the research with a $2.8 million grant. Well, coming up next on FSU Headlines, are you ready for some football? Seminole football?
This is a fun time of year, watching your teams grow and come together, and the guys that you had for the first 6 months and develop that identity to incorporate another 20 guys or so that come in as freshmen and see how they fit in and what they do.
The Florida State football team is getting ready for the 2017 season when FSU Headlines continues in a moment. Welcome back to FSU Headlines. I'm Dennis Schnitker. For us sports fans, August is a special month. When the calendar turns, it means football season is here, and the Florida State Seminoles are prepping for one of the most anticipated seasons in recent memory with a kickoff classic for the ages. FSU Headlines reporter Mark Vaughn joins us now with a preview of that big matchup and a look ahead at the upcoming season. Mark?
Hey Dennis, the Florida State football team comes into the 2017 football season ranked number 3 in the coaches football poll, and those expectations make their matchup with number 1 ranked Alabama even more intriguing. The place, Atlanta, Georgia, in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the opponent, the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. The Noles have plenty of hype coming into the season after returning 15 starters from a team that went 10-3 last season. And they get starting defender Derwin James back on the field after missing most of last year with a knee injury. Quarterback DeAndre Francois is a year older after his breakout redshirt freshman campaign and a bowl win over Michigan a year ago. The offensive line is a seasoned group now, and the defense is always primed for a big year. But there's literally no time to waste this season. No layup game to start off the season slow. They will be in one of the most anticipated matchups in recent memory with 2 high-profile programs with great recruiting histories and another great recruiting class coming in, putting it all on the line in game number 1 this year. What a matchup for Coach Jimbo Fisher and someone he knows very well, one of his former head coaches, Nick Saban.
Yeah, I promise you, if there's guys that are ready, we're going to play them all. We'll find roles. We'll find ways to put you in the game. And the bottom line, that's what it's. Listen, when you get to these levels, it's about one thing. It's about competition. You ain't expected nothing. Because you played last year don't mean you play this year. Because you won last year, just because we won 10 games, does that guarantee we're going to win 10 games? The year we won the national championship, does that mean we were going to win 14 the next year? You got to do it every year.
That matchup goes down on September 2nd at 8 p.m. on ABC. Now on to soccer and another Florida State team gearing up for the start of its season. The Florida State soccer team preparing for the 2017 campaign as well. The Seminoles extend their streak of being ranked to 161 weeks as Florida State soccer will begin the 2017 campaign ranked number 15 in the United Soccer Coaches preseason poll. The Noles will play 5 matchups in the regular season against teams ranked in the preseason poll, starting with a road trip to number 7 rival Florida on September 8th. FSU will welcome number 6 North Carolina and number 18 Notre Dame to the Seminole Soccer Complex while playing road games in the ACC against number 12 Duke and number 13 Clemson. Needless to say, another tough schedule for the Noles. Florida State looking to defend their ACC championship for the 4th year in a row, bringing back 15 returners and welcoming in 12 new players to a program that has won a lot over the years, including a national title just 3 years ago. They'll look for more success this season under head coach Mark Krikorian, who's entering his 13th year at the helm of Florida State soccer. And finally in sports, we head to the Open Championship, also known as the British Open at Royal Bergdale, where one former Seminole golfer played to a top 6 finish, that FSU standout Brooks Koepka. He, of course, was coming off a U.S. Open Championship win earlier this year, his first major win on the PGA Tour. This time using some nice play during the British Open tournament to play into a chance at another major title into the weekend. But it was not to be, as fellow American Jordan Spieth had a tournament for the ages. Koepka shooting a 4 under for the tournament for a 5-way tie for 6th place, while Spieth took home the title with a 12 under par for the tournament. Okay, that's going to do it for sports, but remember you can keep up with all Seminole athletics by visiting Seminoles.com. Let's send things back to you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Well, in our final headline, we celebrate a tradition 20 years in the making here at Florida State University. That's right, opening nights at Florida State University is turning the big 2-0. In addition to celebrating 20 years of performances, Florida State University's annual Festival of the Fine and Performing Arts, opening nights, has unveiled its lineup for the upcoming season. From Michael McDonald to Yo-Yo Ma, world-renowned performers will be back on campus and in the community again this year to perform.
We're really excited about this particular lineup. It's our 20th anniversary season, and we've got some really big names this time around. We have Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, George Benson, 10-time Grammy winner. We have some bluegrass at Goodwood, that's always a highlight. We also have, of course, the Silk Road Ensemble with Yo-Yo Ma, which people are super excited about. We had Yo-Yo Ma a few years ago, and we are thrilled to bring him back.
To see the full lineup of this season's performances and events, check out openingnights.fsu.edu. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of FSU Headlines, but you can see more news from Florida State University anytime at news.fsu.edu. It's the official news website of Florida State University. For everyone here at Florida State University, I'm Dennis Schnitker. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.